Chapter 330, Starlight, 3. 4. Yes? I blinked. You made the returner's clockwork watch? Yes. Musha answered. While saying yes, a grinding sound of teeth snuck in, so the accurate pronunciation was closer to yes. But I was a man generous even to losers. I willingly pretended not to hear. After all, whether Musha grinds her teeth or not, I had the right to ask questions that interested me. I received my skill from the Flame Emperor. And the Flame Emperor, as far as I know, received the skill from the lady who walks the mirage. I've never heard of your involvement in its creation. It's like a movie. What? I said, it's like the movies you enjoy watching. The golden constellation looked up at me with hateful eyes. The reason for the angle of the gaze was because Musha was still kneeling. Because, well, I had the right to demand losers to keep their knees in contact with the ground. To make a movie, you need a director, a producer, and sponsors. An EX-grade skill is, to you, no different from a blockbuster. The lady who walks the mirage is like the director of that movie, or, closer to a producer. Really? I recalled. I'm really sorry. Death King. I am the pillar that gave the Flame Emperor his skill in the past. Once, the lady had told me, banging her head against mine. Indeed. It wasn't the lady alone who created the skill from beginning to end. What was your role then? Though it is a rule of duel that a loser answers the winner's question, and I have been following it. Would it be all right to stand up now to answer? It's embarrassing in front of the children. Sitting is more comfortable than standing, right? Just say it as you are. Damn you. Musha scratched the ground with her nails. One day, the lady came to me and said, she wanted to make a regression skill and asked if it was okay. Since regression is my domain, she needed my permission first. A territorial dispute? Something like that. I initially refused but exceptionally allowed it on the condition that it would be a skill that could only regress, for no more than a day, and that too, only if accompanied by a very strong penalty. Penalty. Then, the snake bastard beside us intervened. The eye living in the labyrinth. Yes. The snake. Musha seemed to think she had the right to call the traitor whatever she wanted. A reasonable assertion indeed. I respected that right. The golden constellation said. How about it only activates upon death? The snake suggested. I found it an interesting penalty and agreed. But that was not all. The snake is the constellation governing secrets and labyrinths. He wanted not just a death to be the end, but also a labyrinth that activates upon death. Labyrinth. Maze. Or a trap. I pulled out the skill card for Returner's Clockwork Watch and looked it over. Plus. Returner's Clockwork Watch. Rank EX. Effect, automatically activates upon death. You regress 24 hours from the moment of death. Even after returning, all memories and stats are retained. However, the higher the hunter's rank, the more the penalty will increase. Skill copied from Hunter.
Yo. So. Ha!
Plus. So the labyrinth was the trauma? Yes. Musha nodded. The snake said, human life is often compared to a road. Described as having walked a long path. But that path, in the eyes of others, is a perplexing puzzle that is winding and impossible to figure out. The life of others. Past. Path. I consider that to be the maze of all mazes. The great snake had said. Humans are lowly beings. But each of their hearts hides a palace with at least one maze. That is to say, a labyrinth, isn't it? While conveying the snake's words, Musha chewed on her molars. It was truly a proposal befitting him. So, we decided to install the labyrinth of death into your skill. It's likely not just the two of us who were involved. The Tower Master. Musha continued her story but suddenly furrowed her brows. She then looked up into the void. In the sky, which had turned from blue to pitch black, floated one of the pillars, the Wand of Ages. Is it okay to talk about this much? Huh? I don't mind. The magician holding a thin, long staff yawned as if bored. The Death King has met with the Tower Master directly. He's treated as having the highest security clearance. Probably even the language of the main world is translated for him. What? Directly with the Tower Master? Musha looked back at me, raising her eyebrows. Her look said, "What kind of person are you? What exactly are you?" Well, I'm not sure what kind of person I am, but it seems like I'm someone whom the ox that harvests ruins has to kneel and talk to. I should rip that mouth of yours. No, forget it. Let's not talk. Musha sighed. Anyway, since the lady is also the Tower Master's daughter, it's possible that not just me and the snake, but other constellations' powers were also used at her request. So, you are indeed a troublesome existence. Golden eyes glared at me. Because of you, both the snake bastard and I are put in danger. What? As long as you are alive and well, I can't grant the wishes of my followers. No. My very faith is being shaken. I tilted my head in confusion. I had heard the whole story of how my skill came to be, but I still didn't understand the hostility from Musha and Hishmith Kritz. You mean you can't grant the wishes of your followers because of me? Why? You connected time with that silver lily or whatever. Musha growled. Regression should be exclusive. Do you understand what I mean? The value of regression lies in the fact that only I know that I have returned to the past. The moment someone else knows that time has been reversed, the value of regression, my power, plummets instantly. And yet, you and the silver lily conspired to draw a line of time. A line of time? If you regress, the silver lily knows about it. If the silver lily regresses, you know about it. No matter what, one of you realizes that time has been reversed. Are you talking about a regressor's love? Yes. Musha shouted, engulfed in fury. Even if I grant a follower's wish and regress them, they can no longer enjoy an exclusive position. Because of you too. Understand. I can no longer claim absolute power over time. My power has been compromised. As Musha raged, I reviewed Raviel's skill in my mind. A regressor's love. Rank EX. Effect, for a regressor, love is like poison. No matter how much you struggle, you can't share your time with the one you love. Thus, a certain regressor begged. Please retain my lover's memories. That wish reached the tower and became true. You share a timeline with your beloved. When your lover regresses a day, you go back a day. When you regress a day, your lover regresses a day. This is the covenant of the ring. This is the marriage of time. May luck be with you both. However, the skill only works when you and your beloved love each other. Plus. Indeed. I understood the true nature of the situation. If I were the only regressor, it wouldn't matter. Or if Raviel were the only regressor, it wouldn't matter either. But because we share each other's timelines. A kind of line connecting us both. From now on, even if a new regressor is born in this world, they cannot ignore the red line of time that we two have drawn. If a new regressor goes back to the past, Raviol and I immediately become aware of the fact that the world has been rewound. No longer is it possible for a regressor to monopolize time alone. Except for Raviol and me. I was curious why that skill was rated EX. But indeed, there was a reason why it was rated at the top. Because of you two, my value as a constellation has plummeted.
Yeah.
Now I understand why you were hostile towards me. Of course, it wasn't my concern. Nor was it Raviol's concern, even more so. Who asked for something like Returner's Clockwork Watch to be made? It's all self-inflicted. Don't make me laugh. It wasn't me who brought up the desire to make it, but the lady. I'm not laughing. Anyway, you were the one who attached the trauma penalty, right? Raviol having a regressor's love is, after all, thanks to the trauma penalty. I feel a bit sorry, but this has been your doing from start to finish. Damn tower. Damn lady. The lady who walks the mirage manifests. Did someone call me? No one called you. Get lost. Traitor. That's too harsh. The lady who walks the mirage disappears. For a brief 6 seconds, someone poked their head out from under the ground and then immediately vanished. Everyone agreed not to mention this incident. Well, let's say that's the reason you attacked me. I glanced at the ground where the lady disappeared and said, "What about Hishmith Crits? What was that constellation so anxious about that it formed an alliance with you?" Humph. Why don't you ask the traitor directly? Musha turned her head with a flick. Because of you, my power is already in tatters. I can no longer create new regressors, and even if I could, I would have to seek your agreement first. That's no longer the mark of a distinguished constellation, it's frustrating. Mushanim. We only have Mushanim. We will never serve another constellation. We will remain loyal until the end of the world. A few of the 200 apostles who had regained their senses cried bitterly. Musha looked around at them and sighed deeply. Anyway, get the story from Hishmith Crits directly. I have maintained the courtesy required of a loser. I hope you won't insult me further. Indeed. In the realm of regression, I had proven to be stronger than Musha. Through this duel. If the flow of time within this tower were to be compared to a history book, only mine and Raviol's time would be considered the main chronicle. The times produced by Musha have been demoted to mere tributaries. I've gotten everything I could from Musha. Now it's time to. I turned my gaze. The void. The Wand of Ages, observing the conversation between the winner and the loser, floated gently there. Oh pillar. I'm listening. 2 senior constellations conspired and launched a surprise attack on me. I received no warning about it in advance. In fact, I even had to realize on my own that I had become a constellation. Regardless of everything else, isn't the latter quite unfair? The eye living in the labyrinth used his power, in collaboration with the ox that harvests ruins, to make it happen. But that doesn't change the fact that it's unfair. Exactly. That's why I appeared as a judge. Pink Eyes looked down at me. If there's something you want, let me hear it. If it seems fair, I'll grant it. Yes. Now that I'm practically of constellation rank, well, I won't throw a tantrum. I shrugged my shoulders. I'm currently on the 62nd floor, right? Yes. Unless both our memories are severely damaged. My request for compensation is very simple. Broadly. I smiled broadly. Please appoint the eye living in the labyrinth as the manager of the next 63rd floor stage. Ho! The Wand of Ages slightly tilted its head. Quite an interesting request for compensation. Why? Running away in the middle of battle left a bad taste. It could be seen as a wise decision, couldn't it? How despicable it is to betray a comrade you promised to stand with. There's room to argue that it was a wise decision as well. Most importantly, since he picked a fight with me, I have the right to conclude it. From the perspectives of justice, retribution, and resolving the consequences of one's actions, you should listen to my request. If the world operated on rights, there'd be no need for the tower to exist. The Wand of Ages stroked its staff. This is the tower, after all. Fine, I'll grant it. That was the moment. A constellation secretly watching the story is appalled. The eye living in the labyrinth protests against the unfair treatment. Even though the body ran away, it seems the eyes and ears were left open here. Despite the barrage of protest messages, the Wand of Ages didn't blink an eye. Precisely, it only blinked when it suited him. It's not really unfair. The eye living in the labyrinth shouts that this cannot be. I'm a pillar. I can do this. The eye living in the labyrinth will never forget this incident. Not that it won't forget, but perhaps it won't be able to forget. Maybe. Okay. Fox Nim. Peep? Please declare the stage clear. Let's go right away. Foxy, who was wrapped around my neck like a scarf, flicked its tail once. Quest clear. The 62nd floor stage has been cleared. You will be immediately transported to the 63rd floor according to your wish. Then a message almost like a scream rang out. The eye living in the labyrinth yells that this must not happen. Of course, the answer I had for them was already decided. It will. And a whirlwind of sand enveloped me. Chapter 331, Glass Palace, 1. You have entered stage 63. The eye living in the labyrinth senses your presence and becomes enraged. The sandstorm wrapped around me before settling down. Like a hand that holds on for a moment only to let go immediately after. Feeling the scent of sand grains that were thoroughly dried by the sun and polished by the wind, I straightened my back with confidence. There's no need to explicitly say it through a message, Snake SSI, is there? I didn't use telepathy. The opponent is a constellation that governs all mysteries and secrets. It would probably be easy for them to spy on unseen places and eavesdrop on unheard sounds. In other words, an expert in wiretapping. The eye living in the labyrinth shudders its scales at your rudeness. I squinted one eye. Maybe negotiation is possible. I'm a man who surprisingly gets along well in conversation. Instead of hiding and spending eternity like that, why don't we have a tea time and talk? The eye living in the labyrinth rebukes, you dare to play your tricks? As expected. Determined not to let its own voice be heard even in death. I looked around. Probably being cautious in case its location gets revealed just by that. Having watched Musha get defeated by me, it probably doesn't have the courage to show itself in front of me. Now, then. Should we start a game of hide and seek from here? Labyrinth. It was surrounded by towering walls on all sides. It was dubious whether to refer to them as walls. At least among the walls I knew, there was none that seemed to effortlessly touch the stratosphere, soaring high above the sky. Moreover, the sky was sealed in a dome shape. It looked as if eggshells covered the ground. Climbing the walls would likely only lead to being blocked by the shell of the sky. What about the ground? Made of wood. The wooden floor, swirling with patterns similar to snake scales, spread out before me. I tried swinging my sword as a test, but both the walls and the floor remained intact. They didn't suffer any damage. Perhaps they were designed to be very difficult to destroy. Is the stage itself a maze? I murmured. That's troublesome. Snake SSI will keep changing its position. While I don't know the geography here, Snake SSI is probably well versed in it. If the opponent only runs away, I have no way to catch it. You don't need to worry about that. A voice came from behind me. The reason I didn't reflexively swing my sword to attack was because I had heard that voice before. The Wand of Ages? Just call me a magician. Because that's what I am. With a face that seemed like it had never smiled in its lifetime, the Wand of Ages spoke. The magician was yawning, maintaining a distance of about 6 meters from me. I'm not particularly great. Just the greatest magician in the world, that's all. No, I think that's quite an impressive achievement. Not really. It's not that great. Before becoming a pillar, I alone slaughtered 13 dragon emperors, conquered 7 dragon kingdoms, and was the first in history to reach the void rupture, the origin and starting point of the world, and plant a flag there. But, I'm just a magician, nothing more. Are you just trying to brag to me? Death King. Do you know why people who are astonishingly successful are astonishingly humble? Once you reach that level, the more humble I become, the more insignificant others feel. Making others feel inferior while keeping myself completely innocent. Only those in power can truly afford to be genuinely humble. In that sense, it's not surprising that successful people are humble. How about it? Did I enlighten you? All I've realized from your words is that your character is rotten, magician. Congratulations. You've already realized a lot. Clap. 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 The magician clapped his hands. Not with his hands, but with his mouth. That is, he made the sound clap, clap, clap by moving his mouth. Listening to the magician's clapping, I instinctively knew that this pillar was also an extraordinary lunatic. Let's get back to the point. Why do you say I don't need to worry? The magician took out a piece of paper from his pocket and wrote something on it. The paper read, Main Point. The magician stuck the paper on the wall, took 3 steps back, and then 3 steps forward. Ta-da. Returned. I decided to calmly ignore the events of the past approximately 15 seconds. To deal with a lunatic, one must arm themselves with madness as well. So, crazy magician. Why don't I need to worry? Constellations are unfair beings. They are so powerful that ordinary humans can't possibly compete, not just physically, but their very existence is grand. The magician spoke as if he were the only sane person. But even in unfairness, there is a sliver of fairness. Fairness? Yes. A riddle, no matter how difficult, is still a riddle because it has an answer. A labyrinth, no matter how complex, is still a labyrinth because it has an exit. A riddle without an answer is just an annoying sequence of sentences, and a maze without an exit is just a series of tiresome places. The magician muttered expressionlessly. In that sense, the lives of ordinary humans that the constellations look down upon aren't any different. Even if it's a twisted answer. Even if it's a warped exit. Providing answers to a world without them, and opening doors in a life without any, is the role of a constellation. No. It's the very essence of a constellation's existence. In other words, are you saying the eye living in the labyrinth won't run away? Every palace has its throne. A labyrinth is a palace too. The moment a king flees from his throne, he ceases to be a king. Is that so? I nodded and then glared at the walls surrounding us. The eye living in the labyrinth clenches its teeth. The eye living in the labyrinth manifests its power. And as if responding to my provocative gaze, the world transformed at that moment. 2. The world was still made of walls. Only now, the walls no longer blocked the view and were invisible. The eye living in the labyrinth requests a covenant with the tower. Designate sanctuary. Approved. The outer layer of the walls melted away. From this moment, this place is owned by the eye living in the labyrinth. The flesh of the walls that had their shells peeled and melted was made of glass. Transparent glass windows. No longer blocked by sight and thus freely visible inside. Whether I intended to or not, I looked at the glass, and there. Mannequins? Figures? Numerous dolls were displayed inside the glass walls. The expression, countless, literally meant infinite. The glasses were so tall they seemed to touch the sky and so vast that it was impossible to see their end. It was a labyrinth of glass. In each glass window, dolls were densely lined up, forming layers upon layers, wrapping around in multiple folds, arrayed in rows. He is the one who hides and reveals, worship him. Creak. The mannequin hanging closest to the glass window suddenly lifted its head. Its mouth opened. He is the one who hides and reveals, worship him. The mannequins to the left, right, and above the first, which had been stationary, opened their mouths. He is the one who hides and reveals, worship him. Once again, the dolls surrounding them. He is the one who hides and reveals, worship him. From the sides of the straight corridor, from the dead ends of alleys, from the right angles of winding paths, tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of mannequins within my sight, and an almost infinite number of mannequins in unseen places, creaked. Beyond the glass windows, creaked, opening their mouths. If you intend to search for me, then try to find me. A voice layered thousands upon thousands of times. Each doll had its own distinct voice, creating a cacophony. Among these, my true body is hidden. Among them. Within this place, where hundreds of millions, or perhaps even more, dolls were displayed, the eye living in the labyrinth was hiding. I smiled slightly. For a game of hide and seek, this seems overly disadvantageous for the seeker. This is still a fair game, believe it or not. A doll displayed on the glass wall to my right moved its lips. If you cannot find me, then simply admit defeat and leave. Or, you may wander forever in my glass palace. The dolls each had their own characteristics. Some dolls were almost like life-sized figures. No, they were so detailed they could be mistaken for real. They had faces. They had eyes. They looked so vivid as if they could breathe any moment, yet their expressions remained unchanged as if time had stopped. Other dolls were no different from mannequins. Wooden dolls. Faceless, expressionless marionettes with their joints exposed. The level of detail varied among the dolls. From perfect finished products to those that seemed barely touched by a carving knife, numerous puppet dolls hung by threads, each striking a different pose. There was one thing. I am the murderer who killed the child next door. Every doll was holding a sign. I deceived my best friend. That was their commonality. I had an affair with a priest from the temple. I am the one who plotted the poisoning of the Duke of Mihu. I killed my father. I hate the noble who took me in. I colluded with the enemy of my lord and led to the downfall of my family. The signs held by the dolls all had different contents. Some were serious, others trivial, but all secrets. I easily realized what the signs meant. Things people don't want to show others. Classified information they wish to keep hidden. Everyone has at least one secret written here. With that, you can infer the identity of the person. Indeed, you catch on quickly. Creak, creak. A puppet in front of me opened its mouth. The noise of its creaking joints was probably the I living in the labyrinth's intended mockery. These are all individuals who once wished upon me. At least once, they have leaned on my power. Compared to you, who has just become the constellation, my domain is vast. I don't really desire to create a world as monstrous as this. Hamustra was a grand library. Musha, a sand temple. And Hishmith Kritz, a glass exhibition. What kind of wishes do you usually grant? Please, tell me the weakness of that bastard I hate. Make sure no one finds out what I did. Please. Let me kill that person without getting caught by anyone. Even if they dig into my past, make sure they don't find out my secrets. About that summer incident. Make it seem like I'm completely innocent. Creak, creak. 7 mannequins simultaneously let out a sneer. The wishes deep in everyone's hearts are precisely my domain. You humans have many secrets you wish to reveal, but even more that you wish to hide. Hishmith Kritz. The I living in the labyrinth. Keywords: snake, egg, labyrinth, secret, riddle, paradox, maintaining and securing secrets. Locks and keys. Exposure. Of course, I keep the secrets as the humans wish. Under my power, they enjoy the blessing of not having their most dreaded secrets exposed, but the secrets they hide are blatantly displayed here. I nodded. I understood. That's why you could be related to my skills, trauma penalty. The 7 mannequins simultaneously tilted their heads. A person's past is indeed a collection of secrets. The deepest wounds held in the past are the most exquisite keys to understanding that person. I took a deep breath and continued. The Tower Master told me that this power originates from Mansing, and if one traces it back, it reaches their ancestor who was an apostle of Hamustra. At the same time, my skill intersects with your power in the aspect of peaking. The mannequins burst into laughter. Aha, indeed. Correct. Yes, a person's past is memory, and thus story, but at the same time, it is also a secret. You have splendidly exposed it. From the corner of my vision, a mannequin creaked, raising its hand. A reward must be given to the wise revealer. Wooden fingers pointed somewhere. Rejoice. I shall bestow upon you my little gift. Is it a hint to where you are? You will see. I followed. In the direction pointed by the finger, another mannequin was there, and it too raised a finger to point somewhere else, leading me to repeat the same process 16 times. And then I hesitated. At the final destination, I momentarily stopped. How do you find it, young star? Through the thin glass, a doll moved its lips. The marionette's appearance was intricate. It was a voice I knew well, a face I was familiar with. Don't you wish to know this child's secret? There. A doll that looked exactly like the Crusader was on display. Chapter 332, Glass Palace, 2. I knew it. What a shame. For a very long time, I think I already knew. Think about it. Whoever made the tower put effort into making it. That's also a message for us. But no one cares. Originally, it should have been a sight to admire and look up to. We've become accustomed to everything by the 10th floor. A person who almost always maintains an expressionless face, wears a helmet, and tries as much as possible not to show their face to others. Always clad in armor. I thought I had a pretty good poker face. Kim Gongja. Do you have a clairvoyant skill? Perhaps someone with a more formidable wall built around their heart. There's no helping it. My comrade. Patricia. Our noble and pure Crusader. I have the skill to detect lies. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say this skill brought me all the way to the position of vice captain of the civil militia. Doubt is a poison that eats away at humans, and truth is the most powerful antidote. Although we can't regain the trust we've lost so far, at least we'll be able to cooperate on the 12th floor. Right before engaging in a close battle with the Devil King of Fall Rain, hunters who had broken through the stage for the first time in years were excited, and therefore easily fell into the trap laid by the Devil King. They hadn't considered the possibility that the quest itself could be a trap of the Devil King. When it was announced that someone had betrayed us and sided with the Devil King, the leaders of the giant guilds quickly suspected each other. How foolish! I told you. Never choose the reward of the Devil King. Dare I say, we still don't know who betrayed us, but I will give that bastard the most painful death. It was a time when we couldn't yet trust each other. The heretic questioner interrogated people in the basement of the 10,000 temple under the pretext of heresy. The Black Dragon Witch's assassination squad tore through the night of Babylon, and the Count was busy encroaching on the capital of other guilds. Above all, this atmosphere, this air. It feels like when we were conquering the early parts of the tower. Indeed. It feels similar to the times when the 5 major guilds were actually 10. Back then, we died a lot. Killed a lot too. Right? The fact that we were merely slaughterers to each other. Everyone knew it. Knew it all too well. Crusader. Immediately interrogate everyone with lie detection. Without missing a single person. If anyone even hesitates to answer the Crusader's question or tries to avoid it, I will kill that person right here on the spot. So. I was planning to do so without saying. I knew it. First of all, let me clarify that I am not the traitor. That people like you would never forget the slaughterers. It's inconceivable, unpersuasive, and unforgivable. If I don't have the power to punish the slaughterers right now, I will wait until I do. I will be patient. Whether it takes 5 years or 10, I will eagerly wait until the moment the opportunity arises. For poker faces. I do have confidence. Making those around think that the Crusader is a reliable human. Even if you miss the opportunity, you will not show a hint of regret. Even if the opportunity comes, you will not show any signs of excitement. You just do what needs to be done. Really, life is full of uncertainties. That you are such a person. Reconciling with the Black Dragon Witch and becoming friends again. And with the other guild leaders too. Really. Despite all that has happened. For a very long time, I think I already knew. Therefore, when I found myself face to face with a doll strikingly similar to the Crusader in a dead-end alley on the 63rd stage of the Glass Labyrinth, and when I saw the signboard the doll was holding, I was not surprised. Not at all. Not one bit. I am. The signboard was written in a concise handwriting. I have 17 different plans to assassinate all my comrades. It was exactly the Patricia I knew. 4. Creak. Did I surprise you? The mouth of the doll, identical to the Crusader, moved. The snake that does not reveal its appearance or voice was whispering through the doll. This human is my exemplary follower. Principally, it's forbidden for constellations to meddle directly with humans who haven't surpassed the 50th floor. That's why they make contact indirectly, through skills or blessings. Indirect propagation of faith. From the standpoint of constellations, skills and blessings are, sort of, a means. There are far more worlds that do not reach the 50th floor than those that do. There must be. From the constellation's point of view, the faith resources of those many worlds are too precious to waste. That's why they go to the extent of using their power to create skills and distribute them, and sprinkle blessings like the blessing of the goddess of vitality I once received as a reward for a hidden stage. But this human was desperate. Creak. Creak. While I was etching new facts into a corner of my mind, the marionette crusader said, seemingly delighted. I am a constellation that does not particularly enjoy giving special treatment to anyone, but even so, I can say this human was special. It's been quite a long time since I saw someone wish so fervently. More than 10 years ago, this human bit their lips until they bled, praying to a god they didn't even believe existed. During the period of the Great Purge in the tower. Grant me the power to punish the wicked in secret, they said. In other words, this human wished to become an assassin. Secret killings. Executioners hidden behind veils. Planned murders. I am not the constellation that governs death, but my power touches all schemes and assassinations. I gladly lent my strength. I muttered bitterly. Lie detector was a skill you gave then. That's right. And that's not all. Grating sounds came from the doll's mouth. The skills this human possesses are practically a list of my powers, gloriously laid out. They can see how much someone likes them in numerical form. When revealing their skills to others, this human can distort and twist the description as they wish. Detecting secrets. Distorting information. Manipulation. Schemes. Isn't it truly beautiful? The ones you consider friends were planning your death. The eye living in the labyrinth mocked. Not a single one approached you with pure goodwill. How about that? The serpent constellation asked. Before even hearing your story, they thought of your death and perfected the method of your murder before showing you an immaculate smile. Death King. Even before you were known by that alias. Yes. This is the true nature of the friendship you so dearly cherish. Even the most insignificant dagger hurts when its blade grazes the flesh. Even if my head already knows, even if my heart has already come to terms, even if the words I'm hearing now are merely provocations meant to shake me, an act of desperation by the opponent, knowing all that. The blade is still a blade, and a wound is still a wound. It would be a lie to say it doesn't hurt. If you wish, I can remain silent and not speak of the secrets those humans harbor. Then, the problem is. Even if you do not wish for it, I can expose all the secrets those humans keep right before your eyes. Whether I can truly endure it or not. Fear what is to be feared. You humans, you should be wise enough for that. You have been given a name too grand for your fate. Put down that sword. What do you know? The doll's artificial eyes turned towards me. What? What do you know so well about Patricia? I pulled a handkerchief from my pocket and fiddled with it. A white handkerchief with silver thread embroidery. While feeling the soft touch at my fingertips, I calmed my agitated emotions following the patterns with my fingers. I controlled the temperature of my heart. I know Patricia much more deeply and much more than you think.
Ha!
How funny! You didn't even know what kind of murder plans they had. Patricia used.
Yo! So? Ha!
What? I recalled the memory. It felt incredibly distant, as if from a very long time ago. The moment I decided to regress 4,000 days, the Crusader was there at the scene. Don't use your water abilities independently. That's right. We need to time our abilities together. Harlem Street was burning because of.
Yo! So? Ha!
Among the top rankers, only the Crusader and the Alchemist rushed to the scene of the fire. The Crusader might not know, but that was actually the first time I saw her. In front of the flames, the two rankers conversed. That's weird. Why isn't Miss Saintess here yet? She said she had something tonight. I'm not sure, but it might be a date. She has been spending a lot of time with the Flame Emperor lately. I don't like that Flame Emperor guy. Naturally, both knew.
Yo! So? Ha!
The Saintess should meet someone better. And her standards are too high. Who could she meet that's better than the #1 ranker? The Crusader didn't speak ill of.
Yo! So?
Ha! You, who should hate someone like.
Yo! So?
Ha more than anyone, showed no sign of contempt, even though if there were anyone in the world who should despise.
Yo! So?
Ha, it would definitely be you. Welcome, Flame Emperor. Instead, she was polite. As you can see, an arson has occurred in the old slum area. Can you help us? She was courteous. What do I get out of helping? Tomorrow, all media across the world will write in big bold letters, "The Flame Emperor subdues the fire, a charitable act of goodwill." You can improve your image while grabbing the attention of all the people around the world. Why? Why did she do that? Didn't she realize what kind of person the Flame Emperor was? There was a time when I thought so. I was furious, believing that the Flame Emperor's act was so convincing that it deceived everyone, including Patricia. When the Saintess attempted to poison.
Yo! So?
Ha, he fell for it once. But he immediately regressed and took his revenge on the Saintess. At that time, for some reason.
Yo! So?
Ha believed the person who ordered his poisoning was the Black Dragon Witch. What are you talking about? Who do you think tipped him off? Now, I don't think Patricia was deceived. That night.
Yo! So?
Ha told the Saintess, think carefully before you answer. I might not have an invulnerability to poison, but I do have a skill to detect lies. If you lie and get caught, I'll burn you to the bone. But.
Yo! So?
Ha didn't have a lie detector skill. So what are you trying to say? The one who had that skill was Patricia. The exact opposite. I think Patricia deceived everyone. Before I regressed, I believe the Sword Saint was killed by.
Yo! So?
Ha! The Sword Saint is strong. Even if.
Yo! So?
Ha had a regression skill, it would have been extremely difficult for him alone to overcome the Sword Saint. Yet, the Sword Saint was defeated, went missing, and rumors of his disappearance spread. Patricia knew the Sword Saint well. She was directly under him when he was the leader of the civil militia. She would have known what the Sword Saint's weaknesses were, what his schedule was like, everything. She had been sharpening her blade against the Sword Saint, who participated in the Great Purge. It wouldn't be surprising if Patricia collaborated with the Flame Emperor in hunting down the Sword Saint. I think everyone was deceived by Patricia. Of course, the Civil Militia Guild, which has the authority to treat murdered people as missing, making it seem as though they haven't died, was under Patricia's control. In another world. The timeline the Tower Master showed me. The if scenario where I become a guild member of.
Yo! So?
Ha and live on. There, the Saintess attacked.
Yo! So?
Ha with a spear. For some reason, the Saintess knew that the murderer who killed her grandfather, the Sword Saint, was.
Yo! So?
Ha.
Yo! So?
Ha. You murdered my only grandfather. Who told her? Someone wanted to use the Flame Emperor to eliminate the Sword Saint. That someone wanted to use the Flame Emperor to get rid of the Black Dragon Witch. Someone wanted to instigate vengeance in the Saintess to decisively sour the relationship between the Flame Emperor and the Black Dragon Witch. Who could have told her? In the if scenario shown by the Tower Master, the great guilds collapsed. The heretic questioner died at the hands of a terrorist infiltrating the 10,000 temple, and the Black Dragon Witch, too, was taken care of by an assassin. The heretic questioner and the Black Dragon Witch, of all people, were supposed to be thorough with their security. Coincidentally, the guild that verifies and vouches for the identities of those entering the tower is the civil militia. How could terrorists and assassins not only enter the tower but also infiltrate the core of the giant guilds? There is only one person with the capability and position to do that. To be trusted means you have the capacity to betray. And there's only one among the guild leaders with a motive to do so. To be able to guarantee means you have the power to manipulate. The Tower Master showed me an illusion to prove that.
Yo! So?
Ha can change, too. But even in that illusion, the tower was destroyed, and the giant guilds collapsed. Why? If you're going to show me an illusion, you could have shown the perfect world, so why deliberately, why a broken world to me? Because the Tower Master cannot ignore human wishes. Even if it's a wish soaked in blood, Patricia's wish was to rightfully retaliate against the slaughterers. Just that wish alone was something the Tower Master couldn't ignore. For a very long time. I think I already knew. Hishmith crits. I opened my lips. You wouldn't know everything I just mentioned. You wanted to provoke me as if the trust I've built up until now was nothing but a sandcastle. You wanted to strip down the secrets held by my comrades one by one, display them to me, and drive me to a point where I can't trust anyone anymore, not even myself, if possible. But I know more than you think I do. About Patricia. About my friends. I know the expressions they've shown, and even the expressions they've never shown. I've seen and understood things about themselves they don't even know. It's not that I reached out my hand because I didn't know. It's not that I gave my trust while being ignorant. It's not because I believed they wouldn't do such things, that they aren't the type to do so. I gripped my sword. I am by their side, and they trust me, to prevent those who could do such things from doing them, to stop those who could commit such acts from committing them. You. There is no secret you can reveal that has a blade sharp enough to break me. How dare you, you insignificant brat. Humans aren't dolls meant to be displayed in your glass garden. With all my strength, I struck the floor of the labyrinth with my sword. Nobody lives to be displayed by others, and nobody has the right to display others. Screech dash. Centered on where I struck. I'll bring you down from here. The world of glass was torn apart. Chapter 333. Insignificant creature. Hishmith Crits spoke urgently. What are you doing now? The constellation no longer spoke through just Patricia's doll. Beyond the glass windows surrounding me, hundreds and thousands of dolls cried out in unison. Do you think my existence will fade away if you overthrow me with force? The cry of thousands was a scream that seemed to tear the sky apart by itself. I am the master of all secrets. I posed a problem to you, and you accepted my problem. It's a duel. This too is a duel. Do you understand? Even if your pitiful blade shatters the glass windows and splits the ground, the problem remains unsolved. The Gordian knot superscript 1 is not recognized. Never. Just wait, the judge will eventually declare my victory. I'm not Alexander. I twisted the hilt of my sword. I'm doing this with a proper answer. The sword blade, deeply embedded in the ground, twisted with a violent roar, quazuk. A spiderweb-like crack spread from the sword. As my sword twisted the ordeal, the spiderweb spread beyond measure. It was instantaneous. An answer, what are you talking about? Stop. Stop it. You are not using force now, but violence. Violence means, in essence, assault. Do you understand? Assault. Yes. If you intend to keep resisting, then I'll give you the answer we both know. Find the real body of Hishmith Kritz in the world of the Glass Palace. This was the task given to me on the 63rd stage. And as soon as I heard the task, no, even before hearing it, I only cared about two things. I thought it would be either the sky or the ground. From the beginning. What? All these dolls are controlled by you. What this means is simple. The moment I am killed by one of these dolls, Hishmith Kritz, I will see your trauma. I lifted the corner of my mouth. That's exactly what you truly want. Isn't it? Claiming to govern all secrets, proficient in labyrinths and mazes, you are that constellation. You are also the mastermind behind the trauma penalty. I may not know exactly what method you used, but one thing is certain, your trauma is an excruciatingly difficult maze to escape from. Eek. Eek. Yes. All the dolls were nothing but bait. Common sense dictates that among the countless dolls covering the entire world, finding Hishmith Kritz's real body is impossible. Only by using my non-common sense skill, Returner's Clockwork Watch, can I find the real body. If I enter the trauma and see Hishmith Kritz's past, I will naturally learn about that constellation, and by understanding his habits and nature, I will naturally realize where it has hidden himself. It didn't work. Therefore, in this stage, trauma is the fastest shortcut and the only key. I'm not foolish enough to pick a fight in the domain you are most confident in. And hence, it's the most dangerous trap. All dolls are bait. You provoked me by exposing Patricia's secret, hoping to agitate my emotions, tempting me to quickly fall for the easiest shortcut. If I hadn't met Fox Nim on the 61st floor, if I hadn't fallen into a triple layer of dreams, I might have overlooked the dangers of trauma. I already realized how dangerous the trauma of a constellation could be. Haven't I lived through half of Raviol's life and half of my master's life? The lessons were too fresh to forget, the gap between the 61st and 63rd floors too short. Bad timing, you venomous snake. Kwaji Jik. The cracks etched into the ground widened further. Tsuck. The gap widened into a crevice, and the crevice split open into a fissure. Just a span wider, and it would have been an abyssal crack, a moment longer, and it would have become the cliff of a canyon. Kuwung, a vibration like an earthquake occurred. And, you were foolish. Can't you hear me telling you to stop? You. This guy. Even if the race of humans is said to be a lowly creature that cannot even understand human speech, you cannot ignore the decrees of the constellations. Listen to me. To be able to move the mouths of all dolls and manipulate them at will. No matter where they are, no matter which doll it is, to freely control them all. That means you are either above, where all dolls are visible, or below, where all dolls are supported. Listen to me. I will tell you the answer to the riddle you posed. The earth split apart. The very earth of this glass palace you've erected is your real body. The glass showcases shattered noisily, cha-chung. The land of this world is your skin. No, your shell. Feeling the earthquake intensify. I revisited the fact I had confirmed immediately after falling into the labyrinth. The floor dot. Made of wood dot. The floor was covered in a pattern that swirled like snake scales, resembling wood dot. Every riddle is given with a hint. The fact that the pattern of the ground I was standing on resembled snake scales could be seen simply as decor fitting for the world of the snake deity. And perhaps it could also be seen as the old shell shed by a snake as large as the world itself. Acknowledge my answer. Constellation of the labyrinth. The fissure widened, and the ground sunk into the abyss. The dolls displayed within the exhibition fell as well. Countless, the white glass shards fell like petals. Billions, the wooden dolls fell like branches. I hereby expose your secret. Alias, the eye living in the labyrinth. True name, Hishmith Kritz. And its identity. I am here. Jormungandr Superscript 2. A monster so vast that it could engulf the entire world, eventually wrapping around the edges of the world to bite its own tail. A snake that formed a world. The winner of this duel is me. Eventually, the ground collapsed. What was mistaken for land, so vast and thick, was an old shell. The shell was torn apart. You bastard. Below the torn shell was nothing but endless darkness. It was the deep sea, but not water, so swimming was impossible. It was the universe, but physical laws did not apply endlessly without knowing the bottom, forever hidden and will forever hide like the shell of an egg. You, Death King. You dare. There was a snake there. Dare to me, Hishmith Kritz. The snake was coiling around the entire abyss, covering the whole universe. Jiarak. When a snake opened its mouth, a chasm like hell itself opened up. Only 2 eyes. The eye living in the labyrinth manifests. 2 eyes shining with bright red hostility, the only light illuminating this deep sea. Within the shell it had shed in the past, creating an outer layer as its wall, this circular world, allowing no light other than its gaze, is perhaps the most profound palace. That is why it is the eye living in the labyrinth. Anyone can build this palace in their mind. Anyone can become the one king reigning on the throne. The giant monster, becoming the king of a world it alone rules, coiled in a palace no one else can rule, howled like an old tyrant. Despite being a human who made a name for himself by flattering Hamustra. The tail of the snake, whose size was immeasurable, struck me. Perhaps it actually has no size at all. This place was both the depths and the heart of Hishmith Kritz. Literally, it was the dwelling of the mind. Being the only giant in the world he created, existing alone, meant that this profound deep sea was nothing more than a wick that needed to be cut rather than a terrifying majesty. Aha! So, I cut it. How light! So light! The gesture of the venomous power, which couldn't occupy even a single point under the sky, was 1,000 times heavier than your tail flick. With my strike, Jormungandr's tail was cut off. Blood was sprayed, and infinite redness spread out, dyeing the world, casting a dark red sunset over the deep sea, albeit for a moment. Dash! The scream added redness to the bloody waves. Peep! Timely, Fox Nim, who was wrapped around my neck, cried softly. A music box only for you assigns a quest. Between me falling and Jormungandr crouching at the bottom, grains of sand formed letters. Plus. God of Shedding. Difficulty, S. Mission objective, defeat, the eye living in the labyrinth, Hishmith Kritz, who rules over the 63rd floor. Hishmith Kritz has exposed your companion and insulted your honor. However, if you die even once to Hishmith Kritz, you will be defeated. Plus. This is why. It's convenient to serve a constellation. Pyak. I don't know why I've ignored such convenience until now. Chwak dash. I continued to slice through the snake's attacks. I did not dodge. Even if Hishmith Kritz constantly shook its body to strike, bit with its fangs, or spat poison from its mouth, I did not dodge an inch and countered everything. Coo eek. Eek. Caw-awk. Each time I swung my sword, blood splattered. The darkness of the deep sea embraced the red sunset. Aok, aa. In a world that should have been self-contained. An echo resounded. The screams overlapped and overlapped. Endlessly, like waves crashing against a cliff by the sea. The presence of the I living in the labyrinth fades. Like the waves eroding the rocks of the coast surrounding the sea. Geok. Geok. The snake's scream gradually cracked the eggshell surrounding it. It was a world wide enough to contain its own heart but too shallow to bear its own screams. In the end, every palace is a house doomed to destruction. The presence of the I living in the labyrinth fades. Just as every dynasty marks the era predicting its downfall. The presence of the I living in the labyrinth fades. The kingdom of the I living in the labyrinth, established by the tyrant named Hishmith Kritz, with walls made of doll bodies and pillars made of human secrets, announces its end at this moment. Black. The snake's groan flowed softly. Everything. All will be exposed. Everything. Now, this place was no longer the deep sea that denied the bottom. Light leaked through the cracks split open like wounds. Being scorched by a light more sinister than shadows, Jormungandr shrunk to just a slightly larger size than an ordinary snake. If you attack me, if you attack more, I will expose the fact that you are a regressor. Not only in the world you live in, but also to your companions, your son, your daughter, and not just them. Everywhere my faith reaches. In all worlds. Yes, throughout the entire tower. I will reveal everything. The moment I get hurt is the moment you fall. Do you understand? You know, right? All the success you've reaped will be belittled as thanks to regression. Your blood, all of it, will be undervalued. No one will respect you, as if they knew it would happen. Your blood. Your time. Your dedication. Everything will be regarded as if it never existed. Do you understand? The snake was truly small. If all it knew was to inflict wounds. Really, do you underestimate my power? A stone lying on the road, a blade placed there by chance. A piece of iron. It was no different from that. Son. The wounds I bear might still be wounds. But you too will forever remain just a piece of iron. I have Raviel, I have a family, I have friends. Just as Patricia stays by my side even after knowing her secret, Patricia too will stay by my side after knowing mine. While you play eternity here, I've gained people through bleeding. It wasn't enemy blood. Nor was it thin blood. There was no blood that wasn't red. Hishmith Kritz. I will spare you. The moment I said that, the snake screamed as if it was being torn apart. Then, let's do this. I silently raised my sword. I will protect your secret. I will hide the fact that you have a regression skill, so that nobody, absolutely no one knows. With my power of secrecy. Forever. I will hide it deeply within my shell. How about it? This should be enough to satisfy you. Raised high. Is that not enough for you? What? No, Gongja. When you entered Hamustra's domain, didn't you use the blessing of the goddess of vitality? How was it? Good, wasn't it? Convenient, wasn't it? What if you could use that power unlimitedly? Huh? What do you say? Lifted to the end. It's not just that. My life has been as long as my body. my powers are just as deep. I can give you more powers. I have them. I, Hishmith Crits, am telling you. Paused for a moment. Let's talk. Like humans. Beings with intellect should interact not with arms but with words, so. Let's come to an agreement. Let's talk. Let's solve this situation wisely, so. You brat, young star. No, great star. Sir. Just listen to me for a moment. Swung it forthwith. The next moment, with a tearing scream, the world was split in two. Chapter 334, The Constellations Auction 1. Right after slaying a constellation. Let's talk about something else for a moment. I'm not sure if this is the right time to bring this up, but what does it matter? I had the right to ramble on as I pleased. So. A long, long time ago, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth and tobacco sales targeting them were quite profitable, it is said that every stationery store had a 101 gotcha machine in front of it. During this period, gotcha enthralled children. Of course, I wasn't even born during that era, so I know little about the gotcha craze. However, I have always harbored a very rational level of suspicion that perhaps my seniors were captivated by it, leading to the era after dinosaurs went extinct when gotcha games were rampant on mobile phones, even from the distant days of my childhood. Why suddenly talk about gotcha? Of course, there is a perfectly rational reason. The presence of the eye living in the labyrinth fades. The moment I sliced through the massive serpent in a straight line. Keek. From between the segments of the snake's body, that is, inside the body cut into left and right parts, a very small snake, almost indistinguishable from a worm, popped out with a snap. Cutting through the giant snake resulted in a much smaller snake springing out. At that moment, I recalled the gotcha that popped open to reveal a toy inside. What? Why? Just because. The eye living in the labyrinth manifests. The snake that crawled out from the serpent's corpse was small enough to fit in the palm of my hand. Sorry to keep comparing it to a worm, but honestly, it looked like it could be bullied by a slightly larger worm. Yet, its scales resembled the waves of the sea. Its distinct inverse eyes shone brightly with color, even from its tiny body. Ultimately, based on logical reasoning, I could only mutter the following. Could you possibly be the true body of Hishmith Crits? The worm-sized snake cried sorrowfully. The snake living in the labyrinth cannot hide its crying out of frustration. The snake, bending its body, repeatedly struck my palm with its upper body, seemingly trying to express its injustice to the fullest extent possible. Had I seen this scene alone, I might have felt a bit of pity. Wow, what's this? Really? This real-life worm is the eye living in the labyrinth? Amazing. However, wrapped around my neck, a natural for attracting aggro from constellations, was the fox nymph curled up and sitting. What do we do with this guy, huh? What should we do? If you go in front of the followers in this form and shout, I am the constellation that governs all secrets. The eye living in the labyrinth, not only will you not gather faith, but the faith you have gathered so far will fly away like wild birds, won't it? This bastard. This bastard? You say bastard? You still haven't come to your senses. Maybe we should quickly call the apostles and have them professionally nourish this divine body. Calling the apostles shouldn't be too hard, right? If I press this, will the emergency alert activate and communication open? This deity. The real snake on my palm shed tears drop by drop. It seemed quite upset. Please don't reveal this form to the followers, please. I beg you. I scratched my cheek. Hey, Kim Zombie. Meanwhile, Beihurayong spoke softly. Calm down your anger. When did I get Anjirai? I'm the same as usual. The same? What do you mean the same? You're heated because your friend was insulted. Don't try to fool me. Fool a ghost instead. Though, I am a ghost. Beihurayong sighed. Really now? If you look closely, there's no one as emotional as this guy. Really? People don't know that. He just lives by his emotions and dies by them, sigh. Right. Although I hate to admit it, Beihurayong's jest had its effect. A lot. I gently touched the handkerchief. The heightened emotions, the desire for revenge, various flames of anger I felt during the recent fight calmed down in an instant. By the time I was nodding my head, I had completely returned to my usual calm. Thank you. I've calmed down. That's right. Yes. Now that I'm fine. Let's see. The warhorse of the Eternal Plains laughs uproariously at this scene. The lone seeker of truth is shocked by the scene in front of him and repeatedly hits the desk. The incarnation of love and lust laughs, saying it's the first time in 10 years they've laughed like this. First, I need to deal with them. Excuse me, but from now on, I wish to speak only with Hishmith Kritz, just the two of us. Discussions may include strategies for conquering stages and other military secrets. I am very thankful for the interest from all the constellations, but I kindly ask you to step back for today. Fortunately, the constellations immediately agreed to my polite request. The warhorse of the Eternal Plains withdraws. The incarnation of love and lust asks to please record this scene on video as they withdraw. The lone seeker of truth disappears, unable to stop laughing no matter what. Good. I've dealt with the outsiders. Now it's really time to get to the main topic. Hishmith Kritz SSI. With a voice devoid of any emotion, I respectfully bowed my head towards the small snake in my palm. The snake seemed a bit startled too. If a real snake could have a facial expression, it would be awkwardness. The real snake spoke. Hi, Hishmith Kritz. My authority lies in secrets and revelations, labyrinths, and mazes. Oh, Death King. The sky that gathers screams. Yes. I nodded. As you said, my name is Kim Gongja. I'm a newbie who has just caught the tail end of becoming a constellation. I have a few questions to ask, if you have the time? Of course it's fine. Speak. On my right palm, Hishmith Kritz curled up, visibly tense. I sighed once more and said, Why did you try to attack me? Even going so far as to team up with Musha for a surprise operation. For a reason similar to that bastard. Because of you, that guy can no longer grant the wishes of humans in reincarnation without conditions. She has become a power that requires your permission, which is utterly ridiculous. That's not even a constellation anymore, let alone a god. The small snake god's lament, of course, was also directed at itself. The two most common wishes my followers pray for are these: please let me know that guy's secret. Please ensure that no one knows my secret. From my point of view, both wishes are equally important. 99% of the reason my followers rely on me and send their faith is because of those wishes. So, there was a problem? Exactly. All because of you. The real snake cried out. Again, it was a real snake. No matter how loudly the real snake cried, it had no force, and it only caused an effect less significant than a breeze brushing through my hair. Kook. Realizing this, the snake began to recite in a low voice, with a look of injustice on its face. I provided my followers with the highest level of security. Except for me, Hishmith crits, no one else could handle the secrets of a follower. But then,
Ah.
I realized. The trauma penalty? Don't tell me that because of that, a security flaw has emerged? Yuck, yes, that's correct. The real snake buried its head in my palm. Thump. Thump. It wasn't apologizing to me but was punishing itself for its foolish judgment by self-inflicted headbutting. Thanks to you, you've essentially made it possible to uncover everyone's past. Any secret is merely a treasure chest that requires a bit of effort in front of you. And in your hands, you might as well hold the golden key that can unlock any chest. Indeed. I've become unable to guarantee perfect secrecy. My apostle, on the 50th floor, had his entire past exposed through trauma while none of the security barriers and system structures I had set up worked at all. They were utterly useless. I see. I nodded. It seems your authority has suffered irreversible damage. Yes. And let me say again, it was all your doing. I've said this to Musha as well. Originally, the Returner's Clockwork Watch was designed by you folks with the thought that it would be fun, wasn't it?
Ugh.
It's karma. You were arrogant and careless, living without knowing how your actions would come back to you, and finally, the arrow returned to pierce the back of your heads. It was a staple of mythological themes. Consider it a relief that you were defeated by such a divine cliché. It was fate from the beginning. Coo. Keek. It was when I was stroking the body of the constellation that had become a real snake with my finger. Is the story roughly settled? Thump. It's been quite a while since I've seen the egg of a serpent god. Or rather, not the egg but the inside of an egg. So, the inside of a completely closed metamorphosis dust looks like this. Dot. The Wand of Ages. One of the only 6 pillars in the tower. Magician. Yep. I was the arbiter of this duel, so it's only right that I distinguish between the winner and the loser. Congratulations. The winner is the Death King. The loser is the I living in the labyrinth. This is an irreversible result that has been engraved in the tower. The victory and defeat of the two are guaranteed by me, a pillar. However, and the magician winked one eye. Also, because I'm in charge up to the 70th floor. Within the 70th floor, a somewhat free stage arrangement is possible. A slightly ominous premonition hit me. Excuse me. By free arrangement, you mean? It's simple. Tenants can choose to leave the house with or without taking their deposit back, and landlords don't stop tenants from leaving or new tenants from coming if they wish. Thump. The magician tapped the air with his wand, and a hologram unfolded. A cartoonishly drawn map from the 61st to the 70th floor. On the 61st, 62nd, and 63rd floors, my face was drawn. Additionally, the fox nim wrapped around my neck. Our faces were depicted somewhat comically like caricatures. The 64th, 65th, 66th, 67th, 68th, 69th, and 70th floors were different. Faces I had never seen before were reigning as the masters of the stages. Now. The magician danced a little shoulder dance while holding the wand. For exactly 6 minutes from now, from the 64th to the 70th floor, free trading is allowed. The magician's somewhat playful words were filtered through an emotionless message and echoed throughout the tower again. Free trading is now available from the 64th to the 70th floor. The time limit is 6 o'clock. Tenants and those wishing to rent, please trade freely. What in the world is happening? As I stared blankly at the hologram the magician had drawn, failing to grasp the situation, a message appeared. The 64th floor stage is listed for sale. The manager of the 64th floor, the righteous nine-tailed fox, promises to hand over the stage management rights to anyone interested, regardless of the deposit, monthly rent, or anything else. Huh? I'm not sure how transactions among constellations work, but from my human perspective, that offer seems absurdly unreasonable. The next in line after the 63rd floor is the 64th floor. However, the very next moment, I realize the cause of this phenomenon. The righteous nine-tailed fox screams that if they can escape the path of this Death King, they wouldn't mind giving away the stage management rights for free. The 65th floor stage is listed for sale. The manager of the 65th floor, a goose is still a goose when flipped, flaps away into the distance. The 66th and 67th floor stages are listed for sale. The managers of the 66th and 67th floors, the rubber duck that oversees the ocean, deflate themselves and sink deep into the sea. The cause of this unprecedented stage tenancy auction race was none other than me. Kim Gongja.